Omnisphere is Eric Persing's interpretation of keyboards. And he is a great person to provide those interpretations because he's responsible for quite a bit of the sounds and presets we've heard from actual hardware keyboards and sound modules from Roland. So he's the guy and he knows that sound. But Omnisphere is a collection of snapshots from different hardware that he knows make great sounds. And then he's created, him and his team obviously have created a bunch of presets to help musicians to quickly access the real world sounds in a very inexpensive software in the end. So I think it's a great tool. I'm not one of these hardware guys where you know it's a lot of unks as I call them now, like myself, where it's like, hey, old guy, you know, he's kind of just in his hardware world and hardware is everything and software is the devil and all that. I'm not that guy. I'm definitely like a tech guy. I love software. I think software is very useful. And I'm a major proponent of software. I talk about using things like you said, you use the Korg Chronos. I tell people about Korg Gadget all the time. Like Korg Gadget is like one of my main software synth suites that I use for a lot of my music. And I always try to tell people like, listen, I don't even buy new keyboards because for the most part, Korg Gadget is doing everything that I need. But you have to keep in mind, I had a Korg Triton back in the day. I had a Korg MS-2000. I know the Korg sound, so I know what to expect. I know where it's doing the job and I know where it's not doing the job for me. And I think with Omnisphere or any software where it's kind of giving you a digital version of it, I still believe it's important for you to look at the presets and understand where did that sound come from, that preset in Omnisphere that I love, where did that come from? And I think one thing that Eric used to do from Omnisphere and Trillion, he used to put like images of some of the devices that he used to create the preset. So Trillion, for example, had images of like the Studio Electronics hardware. If nobody knows about Studio Electronics, it's a LA-based company, very small mom and pop company that basically made a whole bunch of analog synthesizers in a time where Moog stopped making analog synthesizers. So then like all the guys that wanted that analog sound, they would go to Studio Electronics. So like the ATC1 is a major synth for them. The SE1 is like a legendary synth. There's a lot of synths that they made that became staples in hip hop and R&B during the 90s when Moog and all the other companies went silent. But the reason I mention that is because there was like Trillion patches, for example, where it used those synths and it literally showed pictures of those synths as part of the Trillion preset. So you get hints, and it's like important for us to do the research and say, okay, where did that actually come from? So then you can understand like why those sounds got picked, but also you'll have a better representation of just the full spectrum of sound when you go and do the research and say, okay, that's what that thing actually sounds like there. And then it'll help you also to choose sounds in a more objective way because you're like, okay, actually, because I have a comparison now, I know that bass patch sounds much better and much more realistic than another preset. So I think this exposure to sounds helps you to make a better just judgment call in the end when you're listening and previewing sounds.